What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Well, I have decided that I want to do another horror series of reviews for you, and I have decided on none other than A Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's talk about it. So, just like I've done before with this series of reviews, I will be reviewing every film in this franchise that is 9 movies as of right now. I'm going to include the Freddy vs. Jason sort of spin off and also the remake from 2010. So, 9 total movies, and then to cap it all off, just like I've done, we'll do a ranking video ranking this entire franchise. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good stuff, but let's start off with the original from Wes Craven, 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street is a horror classic. It introduces us to one of the greatest slasher villains of all time in Freddy Krueger. And in addition to this being a horror classic, this is also one of my favorite movies. So in addition to this video being in the Nightmare on Elm Street series of reviews, it's also going to go into my favorite movies reviews. It is one of my favorite movies, one of the best horror films I've ever seen. You probably already know what this movie's all about, so I'm not going to bore you with a plot synopsis. So I'm going to just jump right in and tell you why I like this movie so much. First of all, I think almost all credit is due to Wes Craven. Not only did he direct this, but he wrote this as well. And this is just a great example of his just vision and talent on screen. Just the concept alone of this movie is, I think, fantastic. You know, up to this point in 1984, you had had a few Halloween films, you had had a few Friday the 13th films, and this is usually considered kind of rounds out the trifecta of sort of the top 3 main slasher villains, right? With Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger. That's kind of your top 3 Mount Rushmore slasher icons. And just the concept here, I think, is just so great because you had these previous horror slasher icons already. And for the most part, it was, and again, this isn't necessarily bashing those films, but it's your standard killer. You can escape the killer by running away and trying to escape. Well, Wes Craven changed the landscape because Freddy Krueger isn't like that. You can escape Michael Myers, you can escape Jason Voorhees, but you can't escape sleep because it's coming for you. And when you fall asleep, there he is. Freddy Krueger's there to get you. It's such a great concept, and I think the way Craven executes that concept is just great. So by adding a dreamlike nightmare element to this movie, he's really able to get super creative with the dream sequences, with the scare scenes, and with the kills by adding this heightened reality, this almost supernatural. You just able to take the creativity way over the top, and I just absolutely love what he does in executing these sequences. Also, regarding the dream nightmare aspect of this, there's a couple sort of more smaller details that I think the film just handles so well. And I love early on in the movie where there's a dream sequence with Tina, and then again where Nancy has her dream sequences. And I love when it shows them trying to run away from Freddy because it seems like they're trying to run so fast, but they're not really running that fast. And I just love that he captured that aspect because I've had dreams where I'm trying to run and I don't remember why I'm running. I just know I'm trying to run really fast to get away from something or get somewhere. And it's like no matter how hard I try to run, it feels like I should be running faster than I am. And I'm like, I get so frustrated because I'm like, why am I not running faster? And there's just that aspect of my own dreams that I like see in the movie that like they're trying so hard to get away from them, but they're like they just can't get away. And I just love that. I love also too part of the nightmare element that with regards to the other slasher icons, as I said, you can just run away. Well, when you run away from Freddy, what can happen? Because it's a nightmare, he can just boom, he's right there. It's like he can just teleport. And so it just adds another kind of scare factor to it. Another aspect of handling the dream and nightmares that I think Craven handles really well is in particular the scene where Nancy is at school and she starts to fall asleep and she starts dreaming. And I love just how kind of smooth and seamless that transition is, We don't like really see her fully fall asleep and we're like, oh, she's sleeping now, she's dreaming. It's just this, you kind of just see her eyes doze and then all of a sudden, right, Tina's right there calling her and she's in the body bag. And it's just like this kind of seamless transition, just like how real sleep is. Just a couple smaller things that I just think really stand out and just add kind of just an element of reality to this movie that I think just works really well. Now, I can't help but talk about the kills when it comes to Nightmare on Elm Street because I think these are some of the best kills in horror history. And I just love the creative choices that Craven makes to bring about these kills. I think they're just phenomenal. The kill of Tina is, I think, one of the great horror kills of all time. I remember watching this movie for the first time. I don't know how many years ago it's been now, but seeing when Tina got killed, I just remember being like, whoa. It's such a fantastic kill. The fact that it's all done practically, they actually built this set that you could actually turn upside down. Man, it's so great. Just that vision, that idea coming to life is just so fantastic. You see her rolling around on the ceiling, screaming as her body's just, pouring blood. And then the guy there, Rod, just screaming. It's just, man, it's just, oh, it's such a fantastic scene. One of the greatest kills of all time in any horror movie, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, just the choices, the creative choices that Craven makes, I feel like every choice he makes from a creative, vision, director, even the screenwriter is such a great choice. Just going back real quick to Tina's death scene, just the choice he makes to have Krueger attacking her under the covers as Rod is sitting right there. He leaps out of bed and pulls the covers back, and there's no one there. And it's such a great effect, man, that like this movie is not operating under the same rules, right? Like we are in different territory here, and man, it just works so great. The sequence too, when Nancy is laying in the bathtub and you got Krueger's arm just coming up out of the water, he's just able to create just such iconic moments and just even individual shots. I mean, just what a fantastic shot. Like, how do you visualize that image? It just, Craven's just on a different level. I mean, it's just this disturbing, shocking, total invasion of privacy, right? And again, it's just, we're in different territory here. You can't get away with that with any other slasher villain. But Freddy Krueger is just in a league, in a realm of his own. And then when she gets sucked into the bathtub, just again, what another fantastic idea to just take this thing to the next level, to just be so creative that like we're in dream territory here, man. And the creativity is off the charts. Anything goes, man. You can do whatever you want. And he pulls her down into the bathtub, and it's just fantastic. All these scare sequences, all these kill sequences, I think they just work so well. Which leads me to Glenn. Not only do you have an iconic kill with Tina, but then you have another all-time great kill with Glenn. Two of them in the same movie. And I mean, I don't know how Craven came up with this idea, but man, it is just fantastic. And I just love that you have just some good suspense with the dream sequences, and then you've got Tina's kill, which is just really horrifying and scary. And then you've got just the scene with, as I mentioned, Nancy in the bathtub and just this creepy, almost perverse imagery of Krueger's hand coming up out of the water. And then you've got Glenn's kill, which is just so insane and over the top. And again, every choice that he makes in this movie, from trying to scare and shock and freak out the audience, I think it just works so well. I love the idea that Craven brought with being able to take something out of the dream world, as we see the scene with Nancy at the sleep clinic and where she's getting tested and she starts freaking out, but then she wakes up and she's got his hat. I think that's just a great idea that they're able to do that. Just the idea of mixing the nightmare world with the real world is great. As I said, I could just keep going on and on. I think just every decision that Craven makes from just this creative perspective to try to freak us out I think it just works for me. And I have an absolute blast watching this movie. I would be remiss, though, to not single out Heather Langenkamp as Nancy. I think she's great in this. I think she really brings it. I think she's one of the best final girls in horror history. She's just a great character. I just love just the bravery, the courage, the just that strength to fight back and just bring the fight to Freddy. It's just great. I think she is great in this movie. I love Nancy. This is just an all-around fun ride. This is a movie that is now almost 40 years old that I think still holds up extremely well. The practical effects are top-notch. It's got gross out moments. It's got disturbing moments. It's got just scary and suspenseful moments. As I said, I think every creative decision that Wes Craven throws at the screen, it just works for me and it's just effective and it's just really well done. One thing I noticed too, more so than I ever remember on rewatches, this movie is actually really pretty. It's way more colorful than I remembered it to be. There's just a lot of bright, pretty colors in this. Obviously, there's that nightmare dark aspect to it, but when we're not in the nightmare sequences, there's just a lot of bright, pretty colors in this movie. It's really nice to look at. The music here is really good too. I like just some of the settings in the nightmares with the kind of the industrial settings and things like that. I think that works really well. So I could just keep going on and on about this thing. I have a blast every time I watch it. It's just a lot of fun. It holds up so well. And it's an absolute classic. It's one of my favorites. So those are my thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Obviously, up next is Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And we will see you next time on The Haunted Beard.